Hi, my name is Anders Byland, and I am a member of the Global Product Marketing team at National Geographic Learning. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to Perspectives. Perspectives is an all-new integrated skills program for upper secondary or older teenage learners of English that looks in depth at relevant themes from different angles, including the perspective of TED Talk speakers, to introduce and practice new language. In this video, I will give you a summary of the program. We'll look at a unit in depth, and we'll also talk a little bit about some of the digital resources that support the Perspectives program as well. Perspectives is a 4-level course that teaches learners not only how to find their own voice in English, but also how to use the critical thinking skills that students will need to be successful in the classroom and beyond. With Perspectives, our goal is to help learners develop an open mind, a critical eye, and a clear voice in English. Let me show you how we do that. First, we look at one idea from different points of view in every unit. Unit themes are selected based on their interest to young adults, teenagers, upper secondary learners, and as students move through the unit, learning the vocabulary and grammar and language skills, they'll also be introduced to new ways of looking at a topic. So here's an example of how one unit explores the same idea from different perspectives. In this unit, we're looking at identity and who you are. And so we're going to learn about occupations, interests, descriptions. We're going to learn language for talking about yourself. We're going to learn about how others show their emotions. We're going to watch a TED Talk about the things that people hold dear to themselves, what's important. And then we're going to end with a speaking and writing exercise about hobbies and things that you like to do. So one of the ways that we explore these different topics is through the perspective of a TED speaker. I'd like to give you for a moment or two an example of what those TED speakers are talking about.
For me, it's a story about us, about how we see the world, and about how that changes. So I was trained as a historian, and I've learned that actually a lot of scientists are historians too. They make sense of the past. They tell the history of our universe, of our planet, of life on this planet. And as a historian, you start with an idea in your mind of how the story goes.
Why should you make words? You should make words because every word is a chance to express your idea and get your meaning across. And new words grab people's attention. They get people to focus on what you're saying, and that gives you a better chance to get your meaning across.
But you enter a different mode when you head out there. Your boat is your entire world. And what you take with you when you leave is all you have. If I said to you all now, go off into Vancouver and find everything that you will need for your survival for the next 3 months, that's quite a task.
When you're faced with a problem, you fall back on what you know, and all we really knew was design. In art school, you learn that design is much more than the look and feel of something, it's the whole experience. And we learned to do that for objects, but here, we were aiming to build Olympic trust between people who had never.
So those were some examples of the types of topics and the types of speakers that students will be exposed to in the Perspectives program. One lesson in every unit is dedicated to the perspective of a TED Talk speaker. And not only is this an interesting perspective and an interesting topic to encourage students to communicate, to discuss, and share their own ideas, these are also great models of authentic spoken English. Of course, they're scripted for the TED stage, but they are great models of the different speaking strategies that we use every day to convey our meaning. And alongside that authentic content from the TED stage, you will find carefully structured lessons to help students both understand authentic speaking, dealing with things like fast speech, as you can see on the screen, but also strategies for becoming critical consumers of information. How do you think deeply about what you're hearing, think deeply about who the speaker is, and make decisions for yourself about what is true, what is fact, what is trying to be persuasive, things like that. So here's an example of a critical thinking task where we are giving students tips for how do you understand supporting evidence to decide for yourself if this is true information or not. When it comes to a clear voice, our goal is to help students learn the language they'll need to express their own ideas confidently, whether that is in speaking or in writing. So every unit ends with a speaking and writing task that gives learners an opportunity to use English to communicate their own ideas. And we provide useful language support and strategies to give learner support with helpful phrases that they can use in their own communications, or strategies to help them build their fluency in both reading and writing. Finally, because we know that the driving force behind most learners at this age is maybe taking a university entrance exam, exam preparation is included throughout the program. These tasks are built into every unit to help students develop the skills they'll need for that short-term goal of passing the exam, while also giving students the language that they'll need to be fluent users after test day. So you'll see task types throughout the program that monitor international exams. We also have special activities in the online workbook. This is in our learning management system, where students will be exposed to certain exam situations like timed writing. So they'll have some practice with those types of tasks before test day. So how does this all look when put together? So within a unit of perspectives, there are 5 lessons, A, B, C, D, and E, as well as the unit opener. And we'll walk through a unit quickly, and I can show you some of how this lesson is put together. So as I've already mentioned, every unit focuses on one relevant theme or topic presented from multiple interesting perspectives. So the very first thing students are introduced to is a high interest photograph, as well as some vocabulary activities to introduce some of the key language, words, and phrases that students will need to talk about the main idea of a unit. You'll also find throughout a unit these My Perspective prompts, which are opportunities for students to reflect on the unit theme and think a little bit about how the theme of the unit connects to their own lives and experiences. On the next page, we have a listening comprehension task, as well as the unit's first grammar topic. As within these activities and within the listening, students will be exposed to the main grammar point, but also the vocabulary that they've been taught in the prior activity. Because there are 2 grammar points in every unit of perspectives, the first grammar point tends to be a review of language that students probably have encountered before. And the second grammar point, which we'll see later on in the unit, is new grammar or an expansion of grammar, something that students may not have encountered before. To support the grammar work within perspectives, there is a reference at the back of every student's book, which has complete grammar charts as well as additional practice activities. Pronunciation will also occur within the unit in different points. It's not always with the very first listening. These occur at point of use to help students understand spoken English, but also be better understood in their own communication. Following the listening and the first grammar, we have our reading lesson. These readings are selected to be high interest and to feature the stories of innovative organizations and global citizens to look at the main idea of the unit from a new angle. We'll also incorporate in this lesson vocabulary building sections, which help to promote fluency by giving learners the skills that they need to learn new words on their own. Here's a good example of how we weave into the unit activity types that mirror what students will encounter on test day. You'll see this in the reading. You'll also see this in other lessons in the unit as well. And then a critical thinking section here with the reading helps students to become critical consumers of information who are able to understand the importance of evaluating new information and where it comes from. Sometimes this activity will occur with the reading, and other times it will occur with the TED Talk later in the unit. Lesson C is the second grammar point of the unit, and this is a new grammar point that students may not have encountered before. So we'll introduce the grammar on the left-hand side of the page, and we will provide practice on the right-hand side of the page. This particular lesson ends with a choice activity. We like to incorporate choice activities into programs for teenage learners as a way of involving these learners more in the classroom process by giving them encouragement to become active participants. So here students will be given 3 options of how they're going to demonstrate their understanding of the lesson topic, of the grammar point, in this instance, past continuous. They'll have a little bit more option, which ideally will lead to greater engagement. Lesson D is the TED Talk of the unit. And here students will be practicing authentic listening skills, and they'll also watch the TED Talk as a model of authentic natural speech in English. We're going to watch a quick example here before we wrap up.
Elora Hardy grew up on the island of Bali, Indonesia, with 2 artist parents. After she finished her education in the United States, she worked as a designer for one of New York's biggest fashion businesses. Then, in 2010, she moved back to Bali and started designing and building homes made of bamboo, a material not usually used to build houses.
So what we just saw there was an introduction to the TED Talk that's scripted specially for English language learners. Once students are given that background on the TED speaker and the topic, they'll watch short clips broken up into multiple parts so that they're not overwhelmed with too much content coming all at once. And we incorporate these TED Talks as a way of bringing the unit theme to life and a way of giving students another perspective to consider regarding the unit topic. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but authentic listening skills is something that we focus on here in the TED lesson to help students deal with the challenges of working with authentic content. So sometimes speakers may have a unique accent, or perhaps they'll speak more quickly than students are used to. We'll give students real practical strategies for dealing with these situations, which they're likely to encounter again outside of the classroom. This also gives us another opportunity to introduce common vocabulary, language, and expressions that are used more often in spoken English rather than in writing. And then finally, we end with a challenge activity. These activities are another opportunity for students to personalize what they've learned and also go beyond the classroom to apply language and ideas into new contexts. Finally, in lesson E, we have our speaking and our writing exercises. These are the main productive lessons in the unit. In order to support open-ended speaking and writing, we offer useful language boxes, which will provide language frames to support both the speaking and writing activities, as well as strategies, writing and speaking strategies, to give students the functional language they'll need to be fluent communicators in whatever situation they are in. We also provide models of effective communication before completing these open-ended exercises to give students something to mirror their own work after. So that is a unit overview of perspectives. Now I'd like to briefly cover the program components and the ways that perspectives can be used in any classroom. So what you see on the screen here are the components for students and for teachers. For students, there is a student's book, workbook, online workbook, and combo split versions. In addition to these components, as of this year, there's now a student's ebook available as well. For teachers, we have our lesson planner, which includes all of the resources teachers will need to engage with the audio and video content in the classroom. We have a classroom presentation tool and an assessment CD-ROM with ExamView. I'll speak more about both of those in just a moment. In regards to the current situation that we're all in terms of the uncertainty surrounding the ongoing global pandemic, it's more important than ever to be able to work with your materials in whatever classroom you find yourself in, whether that is a physical one with tables and chairs and books, whether that is online using Zoom or another video conferencing software, or some combination of the two. And all National Geographic learning programs have components and resources to support whatever classroom you're in. And we like to think about these resources in terms of the things that we're already doing and you're already doing every day: preparing your classes, teaching live lessons, assigning homework, and assessing your learners. So for example, for preparation, we have a free companion site on our website where you can go and download all of the resources you would need, including a digital version of the teacher's book, to prepare for your live lessons. When you're actually teaching a class, one of the most powerful resources we have to offer is the classroom presentation tool. These classroom presentation tools are online programs, or computer programs, I should say, that include the student's book, the workbook, audio, video, answer keys, everything you'd need to teach an effective lesson, all in one place. For homework, we have an online workbook available. This is hosted on our learning management system, MyELT, and gives students additional activities for out-of-class practice that can be tied to a gradebook, so you can track your learners and monitor their progress. And then finally, in addition to the online workbook, we also offer an ExamView assessment suite. ExamView is a computer program that comes with pre-made tests and quizzes for the program that are fully editable, so you can make sure that whatever you're doing for assessment fits your particular classroom needs. You can download the ExamView program from the companion site at our website by visiting eltngl.com/perspectives. I hope this was a useful overview and introduction of the Perspectives program. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming school year. Before I leave, I'd also like to invite you to participate in some of our upcoming webinars by visiting eltngl.com/webinars. Every year, we host dozens of webinars that focus on practical classroom topics. We invite experts in English language teaching, experts in online teaching, as well as National Geographic explorers and TED speakers to share their own thoughts and ideas in a fun, interactive, engaging platform. Additionally, you can also find some professional development materials on our blog at eltngl.com/infocus. I hope these are useful resources to you, and thank you again for your time. Bye.